morning to you. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the take for Market Rebellion. Yes, it's an interesting start and finish to the week. As a matter of fact, we started off with a lot of volatility earlier in the week. That was rising, and then now we've been watching it as it's steadily been pulling back very, very rapidly, just as fast as it went up. It seems like it's coming just back down. So Wednesday, extremely volatile. Yesterday, and I apologize now for not being here, but had a doctor's appointment. I encourage everybody to do that once a year or so. Make sure everything's good with you. And everything was thumbs up, so I was excited about that. But I will tell you, so we've had this volatility, right? And on Wednesday, volatility closed right off onto the lows. It was 22 to 26, closed very, very close to 22. Thursday, we kind of had the same sort of a deal. We actually closed down closer towards 20. So we've continued to see a little bit more and more of this as we've been going through the week after we had that pretty major spike earlier in the week. We had a great run yesterday in the Dow early on, kind of eased back a little bit off of those highs. Stock was sprinting, or the entity was sprinting well past 34,200. And then kind of pulled back just a little bit. Still finished up about 0.5% yesterday, or about 188 points. So a nice day, good performance for the Dow. Really good performance for the NASDAQ. An absolute monster day. Start to finish, the NASDAQ was on fire yesterday, finished up 236 points. So you're calling very, very close to about a 2% move to the upside. What was driving that? Semiconductors. They have been absolutely on fire once again. And they were really ripping to the upside, up about 2.5%. We had biotech kicking in as well for about a 2% move. Biotech had been kind of holding off for a little while. And of course, technology. And speaking of technology, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, throw in Tesla, Zoom, JD, you get the idea. We were really ripping to the upside. And a lot of those big cap, mega cap type names. And when I say mega cap, Apple certainly finally having what was a pretty decent day yesterday. When we were looking, we were wondering, when are we going to see the participation from some of the big cap tech? Well, yesterday was one of those days, and that was really what was propelling the markets to the upside in terms of the NASDAQ, a really big ripping day to the upside. So big cap tech was great. Energy, not so great. Matter of fact, some of those beta names, not all that bad, but getting a little bit of a hit to the downside. We had every single major sector to the upside except for energy. And so we had that little bit of a pullback in Marathon and Holly, as well as Pioneer. Some of these names pull into the downside. And take a look at what's been going on with oil. So Monday, oil was about 65. Tuesday, oil was about 67. Wednesday, 64. Thursday in the 61s. And then actually closed out just underneath 62, still in the 61s. So that's really been that path that we've been talking about. Some of the movement, some of the volatility, when you consider what that kind of volatility is for a really big major commodity, that says a lot. So that's something that stands out. We talk about Bitcoin and the volatility there. That certainly has been in an unbelievable range as well. Started off this week with a 46,000 on it. It slipped, got all the way down towards 31,000. Matter of fact, yesterday we actually pushed back up, and we'll be talking about where we are today as well, because that's made a pretty nice move as well, but up and down, and still kind of holding now onto what those gains were off of those lows. But we'll see if that lasts as well, because we know things can change very, very rapidly, especially in the Bitcoin world. So volumes yesterday, about 34 million contracts yesterday. So a pretty decent day. Again, we've gotten ourselves back into those 30 million sort of a range. We've been up and above that 40 million plus range for a little while, and then we've kind of eased back. But anywhere between a 33 million day and a 38 million day, we'll take that. That's pretty daggone good. So we look at unemployment claims today. So that was something, now a pandemic lows once again. So certainly that seemed to be part of what was fueling what was a really nice pre-market. As a matter of fact, Dow up 100 plus points in the pre-market. We had a nice move in the NASDAQ. NASDAQ started to get a little bit steam. It was starting to move to the upside. And then as we got on just 9:30 today, Central Time, we started to ease back and getting closer and closer to unchanged. Last I looked, the NASDAQ was up just about 10 or 15 points to the upside. The Dow, on the other hand, had been sprinting, was up over 300 points to the upside. That eased back a little bit. Last I looked, we were up about 250 points on the Dow. So Oatly yesterday did get that IPO off, and the price was 17. Stock actually traded all the way up towards that 22 level, and then eased back. And today, having a pretty decent day as well. I point that out because we've been talking about SPACs. We've been talking about a lot of things. We haven't really heard a whole lot about the IPO world. So this was an interesting one. And when you look at the market cap, this has become a major company overnight, if it wasn't already before. Now highlighted, people are really starting to stand up and look and checking out what's going on in that specific part of the market. So the leadership early on today, we have energy, we have materials, we have industrials. They're all up 1% or more. Technology was up okay, at least on the early part of the day, started to ease back a little bit. And that's what we're seeing right now in terms of the NASDAQ on some of that pullback that we're getting there. A couple of names that really stand out for me in terms of what we talked about just now in the industrial side of things. How about Boeing? Boeing, with that news out about production and everything that's going on with the 737, that seems to have people pretty excited. So up about 3.5% early on. NVIDIA is the other one that really stands out. We talked about the semiconductors and some of the moves that we've seen and a little bit of the rally off of some of those lows. You take a look at what's going on with NVIDIA. The stock actually had already started to make a bit of a move, but with this 4-for-1 split, everybody's that much more excited. People say, well, it really doesn't change anything. That's somewhat true, but the reality is when you do that, it gives people an opportunity that maybe can't be involved in a $600 stock. It gives them the opportunity to buy shares and use options, because each option obviously is 100 shares, gives them that much more leverage to be able to decide if that's something they want to do. So there is some things that really do stand out for me. So when they do these splits and everybody says it's meaningless, there are some reasons why actually on the derivative side, it really does become something that can become something very, very important. So got a couple of unusuals for you, and then we're going to wrap it up. So first one up, Norwegian Cruise Lines. We talk about the reopen trade all the time. Stock trading right around 29.60 today. This was early on, and we had a buyer of a little over 4,000 of the July 30 calls. Now, they were paying about 210 up to about 240, so not inexpensive, but we all know the volatility of the cruise lines. We know a lot of the volatility of a lot of the reopen and some of the stay-at-home stocks as well. So, yes, there is some implied volatility there. That's why those options are fairly expensive, and they're going out to July. Next, we've been talking about a lot of the various Asian names, the Chinese names in the educational space. EDU, this is a name we talked about earlier in the week as well. Got some unusual option activity in here as well. The New Oriental Education and Technology, EDU. Stock was trading a little bit below 12, and we've got buyers of about 6,200 of the June 12.5 calls. Those were going for anywhere between 25 cents all the way up towards 60 cents. So little less expensive. We're talking June, so it's a little bit shorter. Plus, we're talking about a strike that's about half of the other. So a lot of different reasons why this one's interesting, but it certainly shows, because we continue to see day in and day out this particular segment of the Chinese economy. We just seem to see a little bit more and a little bit more on this. So it stood out for me, so I wanted to point it out, even though we've already pointed it out once this week. Now, I just want to give you one last thing about the Twin Cities Lime Foundation. I really appreciate you giving some time. Tonight, 7 o'clock, we've got the Twin Cities Lime. If you go to twincitieslime.org, you can go to the events page. That'll bring you to In the Limelight 2021. It's going to be a great program. I promise you, it's going to be very fast. It's going to move along. It's going to be about 1 hour at the very most. And we're going to do our very best so that everybody can understand, get educated, hopefully donate. If you can't make it, you can go to the donation tab as well and donate, just trying to help people out so they can get themselves and figure out what's going on, what they've got. Do they have Lyme disease? We get folks to a Lyme literate practitioner, and that is just, it means the world to these people, and a lot of lives have been saved, and we really appreciate all the help and all the donations, everything else. As a matter of fact, these guys right here in White Bear, Minnesota, I've got my own brand over there, the Giddy Up brand, and anything on the Giddy Up brand, a portion of that goes to Twin Cities Lime as well. So we appreciate that. So I encourage you to go to Minnesotan.com as well. And if you do that, you can go to the Giddy Up section, and anything you buy there, we get a little bit of a hit towards Twin Cities Lime. We really appreciate that. Let me just tell you real quick, we have some unbelievable packages here. We've got the Michter's live auction. And by the way, these live auction packages are up and running right now. We already have bids on some of these things. So we've got that one that is started. We also have a Market Rebellion package as well. Thanks to all my brothers here at Market Rebellion for their generosity as well. Tommy Joe Martin's one of the greatest guys, part of NASCAR. Last year we started sponsoring NASCAR, and Tommy Joe Martin's, he gave us pit passes and all kinds of great stuff going for a Las Vegas racing event as well. So there's all kinds of different things that you can do there just to help kind of boost things up and get people a little bit more excited as they donate. Hopefully you can be a part of that as well. Folks, have a great day of trading. Look forward to seeing you tonight at 7 o'clock. And if not, please just go to the donations tab, as I say, and anything really does help. We really appreciate your help. Folks, have a great day and a great day of trading, and we'll see you next week.